So for the past couple of months, I've been able to use this pack. And if you don't know what this pack is, it is the Patagonia Cragsmith 45 liter kind of Crag pack. It's a pack that's meant for just hauling all your climbing gear. And overall, I've been really impressed with it. You know, I've kind of been using it for, strangely enough, like a dry tooling kind of Crag bag. And it's been working out really well. Like, it's been carrying everything that I want it to carry. I've used it for doing some sport climbing and it's been doing a lot of heavy lifting. As you can kind of see, it's a little bit discolored a little bit. Like, I've been putting it through the ringer and I've been really impressed by how it's been performing. And kind of one of the big things that I noticed about this pack was how durable this pack is and how durable it is for the material that's being used. Because normally with like Crag bags and like any Crag hauler type of bags, like think about the Black Diamond Creek 50, like that uses basically like a TPU kind of outside fabric, and it's very robust and all that. This pack actually uses recycled nylon, which is kind of interesting, and like by the feel of it, you'd be like, oh, like it's not going to be durable. But it really is durable. Like, I've been throwing this pack on the ground and scraping it a bunch and just really kind of abusing the pack. And it's been like holding up really good. And it goes down to like how tight of a weave that they use for the nylon. And it's a super tight weave. And it's just something that you can tell immediately is going to last a long time. The weave patterning almost looks like the same weave patterning like you would see with like Cordura. It's a very tight weave, and like I've been just throwing this on this part of the bag just on like about anything, whether it be like I said rock piles or roots and anything. It's just been dragged through it and it's holding up really good. So the durability has been amazing, and it's really cool to be able to have this much durability while using 100% recycled nylon. Like, that's definitely a plus with it. Now, this bag is also treated with the DWR. I mean, that's kind of like the one little side thing about using something like nylon is that you do have to treat it with a DWR, because unlike TPU, it's not naturally water repellent. But rest assured, Patagonia uses a PFC-Free DWR for this pack. And I've actually been able to see the DWR in action because we were up dry tooling. I had the pack to the side, and it started raining and snowing and sleeting and kind of everything. But when I got back, I was actually really impressed to see that all the water was still beaded all around the pack. So the DWR, the PFC-free DWR, is working amazing. And again, with Patagonia's PFC-free DWR, you don't really have to worry about it being like a lesser version of the DWR. Like, it's really the full version, the regular version, if not a better version of DWR. So it's awesome to see that this PFC-free DWR on this pack works so well, and I'm definitely happy to have it, because the couple times I've been caught would have probably soaked through a pack that didn't have a DWR. And speaking kind of on just overall the bag in general, this bag is a little bit different too, because it uses foam structuring. Like, this bag has structure, and it's kind of interesting because a lot of, I feel like, gear hauler kind of type of climbing bags don't have a lot of structure to them. And like, if you were to put another bag, a like bag, in the same position, there's a good chance that the pack might collapse on itself. Now, granted, I do have stuff in the bag, so it is keeping up, a little bit. But even without the stuff, there's foam padding everywhere. Like, that's foam padding, right? Like, there's structure to this bag everywhere. And that foam is providing like just almost rigidity to it, but it makes it so it stays its shape. And actually, that rigidity in the bag comes up really handy when it comes to getting into the bag. And what do I mean by this? Well, if I were to take this bag and put it in this position, and then let's say I want to get into it, it's kind of nice to just unzip this and then open up. But then to have the bag just naturally kind of cradle itself. And just because there's that foam padding everywhere around the bag to give it structure, like the bag doesn't collapse on itself, and you can load everything in and just pack it tight and have the bag just cradle everything and get everything in there. It's a super nice thing about this bag that I've noticed has been different about other bags I've used, because a lot of bags, like, they're just a top loading bag, and even just having the access to this big old U-zip and just having the structure to have this tub, it's really nice just to cram all the gear in here. And that kind of leads me to the next things about this bag is there are a lot of options to get into the bag and a lot of options to pack the bag. Like I just demonstrated, there's a big U-zip that kind of takes this whole back of the bag and just opens it up so you can have the easiest access to your bag. That's really handy for packing your bag. That's also really handy for just taking things out of your bag at the crag. Super handy feature. And then there's also this top lid section where you can open it up and you can get top access to the bag. This is also pretty handy for just kind of doing the final touches to your packing. Like a lot of times I'll open up this top version to put my shoes or a guidebook or kind of just the small items at the top, maybe a jacket. And then there is also another kind of storage compartment at the top of the bag up here, and there's a zippered compartment so you can put your keys, your wallet, or phone, or anything. And it's a decent size. I know that I've been able to put a bunch of things in here, whether it be actually like mics for recording stuff or even a whole guidebook. Like it just kind of fits at this top one. And it's definitely nice to have this little bit of separation just so, you can keep your essential items away from the clutter on the inside. And as for other like little features of the bag, there are these kind of rope straps, so you can put a rope over top the bag and strap it down. There's side stretch pockets to accommodate water bottles and everything else. They're actually really big pockets too. And I know that when I've been carrying my tripod with me, I've been putting my tripod on one of these straps and putting the legs in here, and I still have room for an Nalgene. So that's always nice. There's definitely a lot of grab handles. There's one right here. There's one on the back. There's another one by the yoke of the harness for the straps. And there's one on the bottom here too. So there's tons of options to just quickly grab the bag and just chuck it wherever you need it. And speaking about the straps, this has a pretty big and wide hip belt. It actually really helps with this bag. I find that having this wide of a hip belt and kind of having as stiff of a foam as there is in here kind of helps distribute the load better than other packs. I've had this pack pretty dang heavy, and once I get everything adjusted, whether it be like the shoulder straps and then put on the sternum strap and then have the hip belts in the right place and get everything clipped together, find that I'm able to kind of haul the load a little bit easier than other bags. It doesn't put as much pressure on my shoulders, or it doesn't hurt as bad. And like I said, I definitely know I've packed this thing full of climbing equipment and everything, and it's been really nice to haul just big loads in this bag. And everything's fairly comfortable. I wouldn't say like it's the peak of comfort. I definitely think there are probably other options, maybe even something like Mystery Ranch's kind of not haul bag, but kind of crag bag. I know that one uses their full like backpacking system and with their really padded straps. So if you're looking for comfort, that would be probably a good option. But this is definitely comfortable for how thin it is and just how, I guess, supportive it is. Like, this isn't the most comfortable bag in the world, but man, it gets the job done, and it gets the job done really well. Now, I've been talking about a lot of pros about this bag. Now, what are some cons about this bag? Well, if anything I have to say, it might be that I feel like the bag is too, I guess, narrow this way. There's something about it where whenever I've gone to pack it and I get it kind of packed full, it's always a struggle to get this U-zip actually closed. And sometimes I actually need help to get it closed. And then the vice versa is once it's that tight and closed and zipped together, it's kind of hard to unzip it. There's been a couple times where I've been struggling to get it unzipped. So I think the pack needs to be a little bit, I guess, wider that way. And maybe that just also means a bigger sizing. I feel like 45 liters is a good kind of size. It's definitely big enough if you're going to do sport climbing, but it also kind of depends on what you're bringing. Like in this bag, I've got the Win-Win pack tarp, but in that pack tarp, I've got a 60-meter 9/8 rope, and that rope takes up a lot of space. So because of that, there's kind of a little bit of, I do wish I had a bigger bag. Like I do look at other options like the Creek 50 from Black Diamond. I feel like the 50 liter is a good option. I look at like the Petzl Transport, and I feel like it's a little bit bigger. I feel like even though this is 45 liters, it really doesn't feel like it's 45 liters. It feels like it's probably closer to 40. And I think a factor of that is due to the padding, the foam padding all around the bag that gives it structure. And I feel like it is kind of like a pro that it gives the bag structure, but it's also a little bit of a con, just because it's like I feel like you're getting less space because the bag actually can't expand to accommodate everything. So you're getting more like you're almost getting shorted literage, and knowing that this is the biggest bag that they offer, that there's no step above it, it's kind of like oh, great. That's probably, the sizing is a little bit weird, but just with it being 45 liters, it doesn't feel like a true 45 liter pack. And I think because of that, it's been slightly annoying to deal with, just slightly. Now for like dry tooling gear, no problem, because I don't need a big rope. And I just think that things might get funky. And granted, though, you don't need to use the packing tarp. You could always throw the rope on top if you were packing this full of like trad gear. Like if you got like a double rack or a triple rack, I think if you had that, you could easily fit like a jacket, your shoes, other things in the bag, and then just drape the rope on top. And I think it would work perfectly then. But it's just been when I've been using that bag, any rope bag inside, I feel like it just takes up all the space, and I feel like putting my shoes and my harness in and like a couple quick draws, like I feel like I'm almost maxing out. And a lot of times lately I've just been using these straps to like clip carabiners too, so I can haul stuff on the outside like a helmet or other shoes. So there's definitely, it's a game to load this bag, and like if you can load it correctly, it works amazingly. If you load it kind of haphazardly and just not putting a lot of effort into loading it, you're going to probably run into some issues. It definitely is a pack that definitely rewards you for packing it right, and maybe not having like the bulkiest of items to pack. But overall, this bag has been a really good kind of crag bag. I'm very excited to put more time into it. I think it's going to be a pack that lasts for years, and it's going to be a pack that's going to see a lot of crags, because it really is just kind of like a workhorse bag. It's a good size. Definitely wish it was a little bit bigger, but for what it is, it works really well. And just being able to have this bag be like 100% recycled and have a PFC-free DWR, it's really cool to see from Patagonia, and just to see how rugged it can be. But that pretty much wraps it up. If you have any questions about the Cragsmith pack, feel free to leave a comment. I'll get to it as soon as I can, and hopefully I'll be able to answer your question. I do have a decent amount of time with this pack, and I feel like with backpacks, you kind of get a feel for them really quick, because if it's a bad backpack, it'll hurt, and you'll know really quick because it'll be uncomfortable. And so far, it's been pretty great. So I definitely have a little bit more of a feeling for this bag. So like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. And with that being said, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.